Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Brevard College. My name is Randall Stewart. I'm the Athletic Media Relations Director here at Brevard. I'll be moderating today's press conference. But first, I'd like to take a moment and thank each of you for coming out, for making the trip to campus today. We're really excited that you're here as we make this big announcement. As you can see to my right, we have Brevard President Dr. David Joyce, Athletic Director Juan Mascaro, Head Football Coach Paul Hamilton, and Head Women's Basketball Coach Shannon Reed. Dr. Joyce will open with a statement, followed by Coaches Mascaro, Hamilton, and Reed. After all four have spoken, we'll have a question and answer session at the end. We'll also have an additional student athlete that will be available for comment at the conclusion of the press conference. Now we'll begin with our president, Dr. Joyce. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Randall, and thank you all for coming to take a day out on a nice day like this to come out and hear our news. Brevard College is a very, very special place, and we have a long history. This is our 162nd year, and as far as we can determine, it's the longest continuous operating private business in the region. In the last 20 years or less, we've undergone a lot of change. And if you look at the scope of how old the college is in the last 20 years, it's just a small period of time to change. About 18 years ago, we moved from being a two-year private college to a four-year private liberal arts college. Almost 10 years ago, we moved from being an NAIA school in the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics to a NCAA school, Division II, and we started football. And today we have an important announcement. As part of the progress, we're growing. We have the largest enrollment 2 years continuous this last 2 years. We're building a new residence hall. If you come on the other side of campus, you'll see all the construction implements. And we've even leased a renovated hotel to help us with the overflow with the growth of our student body. So the next logical step, as we looked at what we're doing, is how we teach and how everything coalesces around that. And part of that process is today we were pleased to announce that we will be applying for reclassification from the Division II athletic scholarship offering school to Division III, which is a non-scholarship offering school in our athletic program. Let me be a little more specific. We believe that Division III, and our board voted unanimously on Friday, believes that it's a better fit for our mission, it's a better fit for the college and the culture that we have here, it's a better student experience for us, and it's a better way for us to be able to manage our be good fiscal stewards. As a Division III school, Brevard College will stay true to its mission, which says that we are a liberal arts school with a focus on experiential education, which is very hands-on, reflective learning. It's based on both time in class and time out of class, and what makes it special is the type of intensive learning opportunities that our students will get to participate in. This past year, our faculty voted to restructure our teaching week to go from a traditional teaching week to what we would call a modified block, which longer class periods on Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, and very large class blocks on Wednesday to allow for our curriculum to in fact be experiential, as we say. Because of that and other reasons, we feel that the students need to spend more and significant time outside the classroom, and we didn't want this to impact or interfere with the way we do athletics. We looked at other schools that were Division III and felt like we were, for example, right now we are the smallest school in the Division II of NCAA that has football by a large margin. We felt, and we looked around and found that Division III schools were more like us, both in size, in resources, and in program, and we felt that this would be a better fit for the college. There are currently about 450 schools in Division III. Division II and Division I are significantly smaller. So the range and scope of the types of schools in this division we felt were more in line with what works best for us. But I want to say from the beginning, this is a transitional period. This will take 4 to 5 years to move from where we are today to moving to Division III, fully Division III school. Once that process is completed, or is in that process, we are looking and will apply to join the USA South Conference, which is a Division III conference that runs from Virginia to Alabama, and if you look at the map, you'll find that we are right smack dab in the middle. So that gives us a good range of places to play and to be competitive. I want to also say up front, because it's a change, and anytime there's a change, it creates anxiety. And anytime there's anxiety, people kind of get worried and think things will change radically for them. All our student athletes that receive scholarships will be able to keep those scholarships until the end of their career at Brevard College. It's a transitional period. For the next 2 years, we will continue to play and compete in the South Atlantic Conference as a Division II conference, and will be just as eligible for postseason play and championships as any other school in the conference. Following those 2-year period, we will be moving more deliberately into Division III and then hopefully to the USA South Conference, assuming that they vote on our application in a positive manner. So for the student athlete, it'll be a transitional period, but it will not change their financial situation or their ability to play and compete. It's sort of like an egg and a snake. The egg has to work itself out, and it will take 4 or 5 years. From this point forward, after the students come this year with the athletic scholarships they have, and they can keep those, but beginning next year in 2016, the students who we recruit will have the same, will go through the same process as all our students to receive the aid that they will receive. In conclusion, I want to say that as the president, I'm very excited. I think it's an appropriate move. I'm very excited and pleased that the board concurs, and that, again, Division III will better fit us. It will enhance the experience of all our students. It's mission specific, and it will ensure strategic stewardship of our resources. And we also will be we'll have the distinction of being the only Division III school in Western North Carolina. I think it's a good position for the college, and I'm proud and pleased to be able to say that this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce. Now we'll hear a statement from Athletic Director Juan Mascaro.
And what I want to talk to you a little bit about is just the process of how this is going to work. The application is due January of 2016. So we have from today until January of 2016 to put in the application for reclassification. So next year, academic year 2015 and 2016 has no change. And the academic year 2016 and 2017 has no change. We're still going to be in the South Atlantic Conference Division II. Now the year 2017 and 2018, we're going to be in a provisional membership of NCAA Division III, and that's the year that you are half and half. You're winding out of Division II and playing more Division III schedules. By 2018 and 2019, we will have a full Division III schedule, and we will not be eligible for postseason play at that point. The year that we will be eligible for postseason play in Division III will be 2019-2020. So that's how the process works. Philosophically, from an athletic department point of view, I am pleased that we're going to be able to compete against schools that are similar to us in size and resources. And that, for us, I think is going to help us quite a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Now we'll hear from head football coach Paul Hamilton. Coach.
Thank you, Randy. We certainly look forward to embracing this opportunity. The thing I'd like to say, representing our coaches, it's an honor and a privilege to coach here at Brevard College with the head coaches, the assistant coaches that I've had a chance to work with across the board in all the sports. I really admire, and I say this as a person that's been in this profession a long, long time, I really admire the great job that they do, the work ethic, the leadership that they have off the field and on the field for our student athletes, their approach academically, character building, and their approach to winning, because winning is important to them, and the great job that they've done through the years during my time here at Brevard. And I would say to all of them, certainly this is going to be a change, and we understand that. But the bottom line is we still have the great opportunity that we have in athletics to, number one, lead young people to getting their education, which is number one and most important. Secondly, the character development for each and every one of them in their lives as they move forward. And thirdly, the opportunity to be successful and win. One thing that I've had a chance to do the last 3 years, I've been on the ethics committee for all of college football with the American Football Coaches Association, and a lot of great coaches on that committee. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, David Shaw at Stanford, and then a lot of great coaches, a couple from Division II, Division III. And the thing that I've admired in those meetings is how important it is at every level to each one of them, and what each level brings from the standpoint of credibility. And the thing that I would say, certainly the fact that we're moving to Division III will not only enhance us in some ways, I think it will create opportunities for us to have a chance to go on and be successful and give our student athletes a chance to go play for championships and compete for championships, because that's the one thing that I know when we all start a season, we want to win, and it's important. We don't do this solely for the fact on Saturday afternoons or Saturday evenings to go out there and put all the effort and everything that we put into it and not win. And we know we want to win in things much greater than athletics, but we also want to win on the playing fields. And I really believe that Dr. Joyce and Juan are putting us in arenas where we have an opportunity to be successful, and ones that when we grab this thing and we run with it the way I know everybody will, and the approach that we have, we're going to make this a total success, and particularly as the transition period goes through. And we continue to take the young men and women that are with us right now and help them be successful over the next 2 years, and then as we move forward into this transition. And the last thing I would say is this. I coached at Wofford years ago when we were NAI, and it was went down there with Mike Ayers. We were at East Tennessee State, and we were actually Division I at that time. And we had beaten NC State at East Tennessee the year before we went to Wofford. And we went down to Wofford, and they were NAI, and they were 0-10 the year before we got there. And we went into Wofford. We were fortunate that first year and won 5 ball games and got them headed in the right direction, I hope and think. And then I was there one more year, and then Coach Fisher DeBerry called me out at the Air Force Academy and asked me to come out and coach at the academy. Certainly a great thrill to coach at that level. And so as I went out there, the first football game we ever played, we played Colorado State University, and there were 48,000 people in the bleachers that first day. I'd gone from coaching against Catawba, the last game at Wofford, to coaching against CSU with 48,000 people in the bleachers. And I remember we were lucky enough to win that day, and I remember on Monday, Coach DeBerry said, "Coach, let's go for a jog." He liked to do that on Monday afternoons, so we took off running. And he asked me, he said, "Paul, how did it feel being in that stadium with 48,000 in there and the excitement and everything else coming from Wofford?" And I said, "Coach, I tell you, before the game, it was a great thrill. It was certainly a thrill to be there with the team, but to be very honest with you, when the ball got kicked off, it was just like being back at Wofford. It was 1st and 10, and we got to make it, or 3rd and 3, and we got to get it done." And the thing I would say is athletics at every level gives you such a wonderful opportunity, and we're enthused. I'm excited, and I know the success that these coaches at this college are going to have as they transition these programs into the Division III level. And the only thing I would say is certainly that level better watch out, because there's a lot of great folks headed in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Hamilton. Now we'll hear a statement from Shannon Reed.
We mimic the same words that Coach Hamilton has spoken on the women's side of things. We feel that every opportunity to step on the field and compete at any level is a privilege. Our jobs stay the same as coaches, to mold and shape the lives of young people. And the ultimate goal is for them to have a great experience and get their degree and move forward. And I think that doesn't change. We've all kind of been here came in around the same time, so the challenges of the South Atlantic Conference have been very tough and emotional for our players and coaches. It's certainly taken its toll on us as individuals and as groups as a whole. And so we look forward to the future of potentially having an open, fair opportunity, an equal playing field. And I think that's the most exciting thing about it. It is going to be a process. I think there, as the president alluded to, there is some anxiety, because for some of us, we have coached, Division II, and that's what we know and we're comfortable with. But I think one of the best things about coaching is our ability to adapt, and that's something that we've had to do the last 7 years of the South Atlantic Conference. So I think that's something that we'll continue to do as we move forward. We've had an opportunity to speak with our players on an individual standpoint with phone calls, and I know on the women's side we invest ourselves in a little bit more than just the athletic experience on campus, and so we're all on board and we're excited and ready to move forward. So it'll be interesting, but we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Coach Reed. By the way, can everybody hear okay without the microphones and stuff? Okay. We're going to open up the floor for questions. We can bring you a microphone if you feel like you need it, or if you just want to raise your hand and stand up or whatever, that's fine too. But whenever you ask a question, if you could please state your name, who you're asking the question to, and which media outlet you represent. So, fire away.
Coach Hamilton, I'm John Lee with WLS. So, in terms of recruiting, how does that affect what you do as far as bringing players here?
Well, over the last 8 years, we have actually, of our 100 players that we normally have had, about 40 to, on the average, 40 to 45 have been non-scholarship players anyway in the program. So the process of recruiting really won't change a whole lot for us. I know several guys that have coached for me. The head coach at Maryville College over in Tennessee, he actually played for me, coached for me. He left there after this year, but had great success. And he called me several times about recruiting. I know the method they went about Division III. They became very good. And so we'll still recruit, number one, young people that want an education and going to put that first and foremost, want to come to college and get a degree, and people that want to be and do the right things in their lives. And then, and ones that want to win and be successful at the level we're going to be at. And there's a lot of great young folks out there. It's amazing to me the number of kids that we've had play for us over the last 8 years here. To be very honest with you, that we're not recruited by a whole lot of people, and we were fortunate enough to get them here, and they've done good things for us. I'm talking about on the playing field as well as off, but they've been outstanding players for us. So from a recruiting standpoint, we'll sell them, number one, on who we are and what we're about. We certainly have great things to offer here at the college, in the community, and then what our expectations are when they come in. And normally, we've been able to get our share doing that.
The disparity you were talking about in Division II, let's say, what is the biggest difference that the college has been unable to sort of like keep up with?
Well, I think when you look at our perspective in football, there's no question when the South Atlantic Conference voted to go to 36 scholarships, that's in football, that's huge. And I commend our school for fighting every way they could and have to help us remain and try to be competitive. You know, people look at us in football and, you know, the last 6 years we're 3-3 against Tuscaloosa. We're 2-4 against Mars Hill, and had the ball on the 10-yard line last year with 2 minutes left to beat them. And so when I say that, I appreciate the work that our college has done and our administration to help us be competitive. We played 7 Division I teams in the last 5 years. And so when you look at those things and you see the effort, to be very honest, from the top on down, the effort of the entire college to make that work, but realizing also where the South Atlantic Conference is going, and I commend them and their approach. It's like when I was at the Air Force Academy. To be very honest with you, we won a ton of football games and beat a lot of good folks, but we shouldn't have been in the SEC. You know, us in there with Alabama and Auburn and Georgia probably wouldn't have been right. And I really believe now with the things that are reality and who we are and what we're about, which there's nothing wrong with being who you're about. I think it's great who we are and what we're about. And us now understanding where we need to take this thing, I think what it does, it puts us hopefully on more of a level playing field, and I think it will. And I think all it does is enhance the opportunity for success. Thank you.
Rick James, WSQL. Question for you concerning the athletics, because of course that's where I'm extremely interested in the athletics arena. Does this have the potential of losing any of the sports that are currently here at Brevard College? Because I know we just started lacrosse 2 years ago. Does that have any impact? And I think that question is probably directed more toward Mr. Muscar.
There's no plans to dropping any sports.
Okay.
So, no, we have 20 sports, 18 NCAA sports, and we will continue to have those sports. And they are part of the culture of the college. So they're part of us, and you know, this move is figuring out who we are, and we know who we are by our mission, and it's mission driven. And every sport that we have is part of who we are, and we're gonna keep those sports.
Great, thank you.
Robert Frank, WSQL. This is for Dr. Joyce. Now, you had mentioned the statistics on increased enrollment, and as Rick had said, we've actually added 6 different teams within the last 2 years, 4 JV teams. And from my understanding, more than 60% of the students at Brevard College are in the athletics department. Do you see this as impacting possibly the enrollment or a deterrent for students to go to another school instead?
I appreciate the question, Robbie. We assume and plan for it to continue to grow, and we hope this will be a strategy to help actually grow the enrollment. The thing that when we talk about student athlete, is student first. We hope and we plan and we see our coaches and our coaching staff and everyone else as part of the whole teaching learning environment. So we recruit to the college, and by the way, you get to play a sport, and you get to play a sport with a great coach who's going to be there to help mentor and help you move along. When we looked at our athletes and those receiving aid and those not, actually most of our athletes by a large margin would, if we were Division III today, most of our athletes would get approximately the same amount of financial aid under the current policies that we have. Sure, it will change and impact what we would call the impact athletes over time. But remember, we're not changing anything as long as a student is here, receiving athletic aid. We'll continue to have that aid until that period is done. But we assume this will help grow the college, both athletic and non-athletic. But it'll blur the lines a little bit.
Has this been kind of discussed with all the students, all the coaches, the sports booster clubs, the people that invest money also into the school?
We've been, yes and no. We've informed those people about the processes and where we go and how the decision is made. The college has been for the last couple of years looking at itself and how to grow and what are the important things and the board refined our mission 3 years ago, and our faculty has been moving deliberately to move the educational component to be around the experiential model, and that requires more time. As you know, or you may know, now you can know that at Division III, yes, it's non-athletic scholarship, but it's also there's slightly 10 to 15% fewer games during the season, depending on the sport, and there's a very limited off-season contact hours with the athletes, so that they have more time to be more active and engaged. In a college our size, besides the classroom, there's opportunities being student leadership, opportunities to be into plays and sing in the choirs and do other things, and we believe that Division III will allow more opportunity to participate in more things. So when the board went through that process and we started to study this, and then after the February board meeting, the board appointed a task force to look at all aspects of the college to see how we were coalescing around our mission and what was best for the college. That's when we started to look at it more definitively. And then the task force, along with the senior administration, made a recommendation at the board meeting that happened last Friday. And like I said, they voted about it unanimously. So in terms of open discussion, a lot of open study, a lot of discussion with individuals, but this was not we didn't take a vote of everybody on the campus what they wanted to do, because we were looking how to make it do the right thing for the right time and for the right reasons.
You had mentioned student participation as far as not so much focuses to sports, but also to their class projects also. Are the athletes' academics, have they been down? Have you noticed that?
No, it's interesting. In a lot of ways, Brevard College is already a Division III school. If you look at our data, our graduation rates among the student athletes and non-athletes are almost identical. Our grade point average, if you compare athletics to non-athletics, is almost right on top. If you bifurcate by different sports, some sports are higher, some sports are lower. But there's already a blurred line. So no, the data that we looked at showed that our student athletes and our non-student athletes are all pretty much in the same categories. So that's what I said when we began, was that in a lot of ways, we're already in a Division III kind of culture. So it should be a relatively easy transition. It's who we are, and it's about the right fit. Thank you.
Robbie Robertson, Transmedia Times. Will the move to D3 affect the ability to play money games against opponents like Western Carolina and Presbyterian, and what will that do to the budget?
I'll answer that part of that question, but I'll look at our athletic director. Money games, for those who don't know, are games that you play and you get paid for the privilege. And usually it's a stronger team than you are because that's why they pay you money to come and play. I think it'll have a strong effect on money games. And I'll be honest, as the president, it makes me anxious because we go up against opponents that usually are so much stronger than us. And it's a great opportunity for students to have to play in a bigger field amongst more people, maybe be on TV and the like. But it's also, they know they're going into an arena there's always the hope, but the chances are not very good in that sense. Now, very few Division III schools play very many money games, as we call it. So, but I don't want to build our budget and build our plans on sending people into battle so that we can get paid. So I find personally, philosophically, I think it's a better fit for us, and I think we'll make it work. Juan, did you want to add anything?
Part of the plan, so part of the strategy when we build this, and it is built within the plan, is that we will not have money games. So it is part of the plan that we will not continue to play any money games.
And I think it's important to also understand, because a lot of people believe, a lot of people have said to me that, oh, this will save us a lot of money. It really won't. It actually will cost us more money because of travel. And, but we'll be able to manage it better. But we've worked it into our budget. Remember, we're a growing school, so that we can provide a better opportunity, better ways to transport our students, perhaps hopefully less class time missed, and a broader experience. And so this will not save us money. It will actually cost us money. It will take all the aid will go into one pot, and over time it will be distributed amongst all our students based on the policies that we have. So athletes and non-athletes will not be differentiated. In fact, the NCAA requires, when they look at it to make sure you're not cheating, that if you take the athletes and we look at the non-athletes, the average aid can't miss by more than 5%. So it's a way to keep everybody literally on a level playing field.
What kind of extra travel costs are we anticipating?
I asked Juan to look at that. You want to?
We're looking at anywhere between $260,000 to $300,000 is about the travel, the incremental cost of travel to the current budget.
How many teams will be in the conference?
There is.
Once you get into the conference, how many actual?
14.
14.
Once we get in.
Do all of them play football?
All of them except for all women's
Schools. And in fact, when we talk with the folks at the USA South, one of the reasons they're very, very interested in us, one and foremost, that we look like them, and everybody wants to play folks like them. Secondly, is geography, we're right in the middle. And third, and critically important, is that we do have football, because most of the schools are football playing schools, and they want to be another football playing school, which I hope. I mean, I've been here 4 years, on my 4th year, and I hear the controversy one against the other. Hopefully this puts this to rest. I mean, we're committing to move on. We're committing to football as a part of the academic as well as the athletic program, or athletic program as well as the academic program. So having football puts us in a better position to be accepted and move forward and bring to the USA South Conference.
For Shannon, would you see that you're having to travel up to 6 hours for some of these? 4 to 6 hours seems to be the idea of how far away they are, that's going to have a jet lag effect on the students the next day and we having to go to class?
I think, we haven't really got into the details of how we're gonna go about that. Right now, we typically drive bands to the closer, opponents that we face. There are times when you speak of money games, where I know several years ago, we take a trip to Mercer. That's like a 5-hour trip in a van, and then 5 hours back after you compete. So that is going to be a challenge. It's going to be something that we're going to have to work through from an athletic standpoint of how we're going to go about that. Because after I've had an opportunity to look at some of the distance in some of those schools, and so that's going to be a challenge. And I think when we all kind of sit down and we're able to work through some of that, we'll find a solution to that. And whether it's our assistants jumping in or that's where I think the increase of the budget from a travel standpoint, that's what we're looking at with that money. And so how we're gonna do that, we'll be able to put our heads together and collectively decide on how that's gonna work out for us.
And I think that we're gonna have a lot more overnight trips.
Stay the night, and come back the next day. Yeah.
And that is what the most of the incremental is for that cost, is the
Right.
overnight trips.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna, competitive wise, if you're gonna go and you're gonna play 5 hours away, at that point you can't drive, play the game and come back.
Right.
So you have to get ready for the game, so you go, you spend the night and play the game and come back.
So it must have been the weekend, or during, would they be missing class? Okay.
And from my perspective, again, I have a different perspective. I would prefer that coaches coach and drivers drive. And right now, there's a lot of coaches driving, especially the closer games. So, but the coaches do what they do best, and let's hire professionals, charter buses, and as best we can to get them to the game safely and let them focus on what they do best.
Anybody else have anything? All right, well, guys, thanks again for coming out this afternoon. If anybody's got any additional questions, you can come see me and we'll do our best to accommodate anything else that you feel like you need. We're also going to have a student athlete, myself, and Brevard's Director of Communications and Media Relations, Elizabeth Harrison, available for comment if you guys need anything from us. So thanks again for coming, and hope you all have a safe drive home.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go take lots and lots of roast and cold pots now.
Hope you have a safe trip. I don't want to see you before you get
Thank you.